Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy George Beatty here. Of course, it's your boy Ian Walsh. We're going to get started yapping in just a second. If you guys could share the feed if you're getting great content, that would be great. I'm going to go ahead and leave a comment here.
George, you know what I'm going to take notes on today with?
What are you doing?
This lovely pen that you've just gifted me. I'm excited to take notes with it.
HardMoneyBankersPA.com.
Yeah. No, just hardmoneybankers.com, sir.
Boom.
All right.
Annie.
All right, we're back from it's the first podcast of 2018.
Woo! What's up, everyone? Hey, real quick, I'm George Beatty. I just wrote this book. It's called Hustling from Houses to Heroin. You can get it on Amazon. As of yesterday, it was on the bestsellers list for autobiographies and business professionals. Not sure where it is now. Hopefully it's still there. But if you want some great content, you want to learn about me, check out that motherfucking book, because it's the shit.
Let's go. So, George, your book, this is a tell-all.
Welcome to the Middlemen podcast. It's
intro.
Your boy George Beatty here. We're coming at you with another episode of great content, business stuff, personal stuff, whatever you want. And by whatever you want, I mean whatever I want. And of course, whatever Ian wants. So with that, I'm going to introduce my boy here, Ian Walsh. He's with Hard Money Bankers, Pennsylvania. If you are looking for private real estate funding for a fix and flip or rental property in the greater Philadelphia or greater Washington, D.C. area, hit up your boy Ian. And if you want to buy one of those deals, you want to find that property near Philly or in Philly, hit me up at PA Off Market. Ian?
Awesome, man. Thank you for the intro, George. You took all my workload and just took it for me. I appreciate it, dude. So welcome to 2018, George. Welcome to everybody watching. What do we got?
Woo!
What's 2018 bringing?
Yo, 2018 is bringing the heat so far. I got to admit, man, we're off to a really slow start so far at 2018. This time last year, I think I had 2 settlements for like 150K gross, like the first couple weeks of the new year. So I was like rolling. This year we were off to a little bit of a slower start, but we got some pretty cool stuff ramping up, which I'd be excited to talk to you about. But yeah, man, 2018 is going to be a great year. They're saying the real estate crash isn't coming quite yet. I think that we've definitely experienced a little bit of bubble burst in some specific neighborhoods in the Philadelphia area, but so far the market looks to be strong. We got some cool tax cuts coming for guys like us, which is nice, which, you know, trickles down obviously to me buying another Rolex. And that's actually a quote from, I think, Charles Barkley, like back when the Reagan cuts happened.
Dude, he's the best.
Yeah, they asked him on ESPN, like, oh, what's going on with this tax cut? He got like a $3 million tax cut or something like that. And he was like, I don't know nothing about trickle down economics, but I'm going to trickle my ass down to the jewelry store and buy a watch. Which, interestingly enough, like, I know that he meant that sarcastically, but that is trickle down economics. The watch person gets a commission, the watch producing company gets some revenue, the jewelry store gets to pay their rent, and so on and so forth. So if you are a business owner or you are a person that's going to get a little bit of a break on your taxes, go out, take your wife or your husband or your significant other out to eat, buy some shit, and buy a house from me and use Ian's money to finance it.
Live life. And Charles Barkley, I assume that you're watching this because most people do.
Yep.
Hit us up with an email, and I'd love to have you on the show, my friend. You're a entertaining cat. So, thanks, Charles. So, a couple things. Let's get into some good stuff today. So 2018, you said you got some good stuff coming down the pipe. What do you got? I mean, I love the book, dude. Everybody, if you guys don't follow George online, you're crazy. So if you follow me, start following George because he just released this book and because he's fun to watch. So his book that we showed everybody. Actually, you know what? Let's do it. Let's give it an official.
So Ian's holding the book up to a camera that we have taping this on Facebook Live right now.
Go get that book.
You can get the book on Amazon. If you type in my name, George Beatty, it'll pop up. The title is Hustling from Houses to Heroin. It's about my life, and for those of you who don't know, once upon a time I was addicted to drugs and didn't know how I could stop using drugs, and now thankfully today I've been clean for 6 years and I operate a large real estate wholesaling operation in the greater Philadelphia area.
So George gives it some sort of a, rags to riches type feel to it, and he's like the real deal. And I think everybody that knows him or knows his story kind of has a soft spot for you in a way. Like, not the sympathy, because we all fucking take all your money if we could get it, right? But like, you know, it's really, you accomplished something that is against all odds, right? And then I think when you did that, and then all of a sudden you realize I can do more things against all odds, right? Odds are just what people make them.
Yep.
So The book is, I've read one chapter. My book is, I ordered it the day it came out, so I'm just waiting for it. Hopefully today it'll be in. A lot of people got theirs, and everybody's been giving killer feedback. Anything in the book that you think was like where did you like get emotional in the book when you were doing it? I'm sure there were some spots that really like dug into you.
I got emotional digging out lessons from my heroin addiction that I apply today. And also I got a lot of lessons out, like mentally going back to how it felt like sitting in my car, wanting to stop using, not knowing how, and like begging, slamming on my steering wheel, crying because I couldn't turn the car around. Like talking about that and thinking about that like brings me back to that moment where I didn't think I had any other options but to just keep using or die. And it like kind of like rockets me forward. Like I've been to these dark places, and then like oh, what's going to happen today? We're going to have a settlement fall apart. Like, okay, I'm not going to make a bunch of money, or whatever. Like everything, the severity and terribleness of daily life is sort of like
in perspective.
Yeah, like in perspective of that, it's certainly like diminished in its pain, sort of. But it also like makes the ups way better. Like every once in a while, I look in the mirror, I look at my car, I look at like my employees or whatever. I'm like, holy shit, is this my life? Like,
things are really great. Yeah, things are really great.
It really puts it in perspective.
I really like that. I like that. One of your things we talked about in a prior podcast was like your ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes emotionally, physically, and think from their capacity. But that also probably comes as a bit of a cross at times, because when you go back, it's probably, with yourself emotionally, it probably is intense. People have vague memories of things that happened in the past, like, oh, that was a tough time, but one of your skill sets is like really experiencing the moment again. So good or bad, you probably are like, it's an intense moment again for you.
Yeah,
to feel that. So
it really is.
That's interesting. Everybody you'll see it all online right now. Everybody's reading George's book, so it's a cool book. Everybody should get it. And Central voice over IP, it's a great application, but unfortunately it is digital, so I don't know how to stop it without deleting it on my phone. And even then, I don't know. Actually, you know what? I have something I might be able to do next week. I think I can turn off availability at all via the app next time.
I'm sure you can adjust that.
I think I'm going to do that. Yeah. This internet thing's
crazy.
People
are hitting you up for loans like while we're on the podcast. That's actually a good sign, my friend.
It is a good sign. So let's talk about something else we talked about prior to 2018. So the Bitcoin trend. Interestingly enough, anybody been watching Bitcoin? I am not an I told you so, and I know there's a lot of people that experience a lot of pain with what's going on. So I am not that guy. I'm not rubbing it in anybody's face. I don't.
Did it crash?
It is. It took a huge hit, and it's on the verge of. It's a scary time to be in Bitcoin at the moment.
What's it? Do you know what the value is?
So it ripped down from like 20,000 to like 12,000, I think it was. So you're talking about like a 40 or 45% drop, which any market can do. People, I think the lesson learned from watching this is that that's just a market.
Yeah, someone pump and dumps for sure.
Anybody can do that in any market. You can do that in real estate. 40 people are like, there's no way it can crash 40% overnight. No, it did it in one day.
Yeah.
And then we're hovering between like 12 and 16, and doesn't have a pretty look on the charts. So, and a lot of people are pulling their money out and going into other kinds of altcoins like Ethereum and stuff like that.
Whatever, yeah.
It's just one of those things. I hope nobody got that hurt that's watching this. I really do. I really hope nobody got that hurt, because it's tough. But if you survived it, just be aware that a market can move on you that quickly, and real estate in the same way. I mean, before you blink, before you can react, it's designed to take your money. So before you can react and make a decision, it will take it and leave you no choice but, hey, I just lost that money. So always be aware of that in a market.
I want to point out two things real quick. If it's still between 12 and 15,000, like for Bitcoin, I wouldn't even, like, yes, it dropped 45%, but dude, Bitcoins used to be $8 or like 80 cents. Like 12 to 15K is like, to me, still pretty strong. I mean, if you bought at 18K and it dropped again, like, yeah, shame on you. But like one observation there from my end is like, oh, maybe that's like not so bad. Like that percentage loss, don't get me wrong, is pretty insane. But for it to still be valued around that is like a pretty big sign. The flip side is, Ian, you're like a Vulcan, dude. You operate so like logically and without emotion when it comes to finance, which is how I personally like to think that I'm operating 70% of the time in business, but I'm not good at operating that way in finance the way that you are. So like when a guy like you is looking at a chart like that, you're strictly watching it for like percentage increases and downgrades and things of that general nature. And you're like really, really good at not letting your emotions take hold and like making the logical decision. Like that's just like, how do you like?
Yeah, thanks, man.
How did you develop that skill?
So I am probably more emotionally attached to money than anybody that you might be ever met. Probably things stemming back from my childhood. But what I've learned to do is completely compartmentalize that side of myself and the numbers and the money itself. So there's literally, if you somehow drew a line emotionally down my body, there'd be two separate sides. So this side of me always exists, which is that intense drive for money and like emotional feel for it. But this side of me exists in terms of like the reality and the logic of the moment of what's happening and where to be and when to be there because of this side. And then this side gets to experience the emotions after the fact.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I can see is I always think of like the mass herd effect or like the hive mind effect.
Right.
Which is the average person not designed to make money. I don't say the average person, like I'm not the average. Everybody's the average person, but you have to think like what is the average person doing with their money? And they're not designed to make money, right? So who makes money? The whales, the big players, they make the money.
Yeah.
So especially in a market, right, or the bottom of like a real estate market, the market is looking for the max amount of pain threshold somebody can take, meaning I can't do this anymore, I'm out, I'm broke, like zero. That's what it's looking for. So my opinion on Bitcoin at the moment is that, and this is just strictly speculative, I'm not investing any kind of money in it, is that so the logical side, the emotional side of me can attach to the herd mentality of the market and say, okay, I realized what happened last week, but not enough people felt enough pain from this. Meaning what I'm saying is that I think there's another move down coming to really squeeze everybody out from the big players are coming to squeeze everybody out. I'm not an investment advice. I'm not giving you investment advice. Do not take this investment advice. But my gut says that the emotions of the market are not attached to enough money. It has to break people. And that's the same thing that happened in 2008 with real estate. It broke people. People left this business to never come back. And once that moment happened is when the whales came in and they were like, okay, it's a broke, and they ate everything. Yeah. So I'm able to see that or feel that because I can feel the herd mentality and emotionally, and then I can look at the numbers and the charts and what it's telling me or the market's telling me logically, but I make my decisions logically and then get the results emotionally.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So this actually brings me into something that I wanted to talk about because it's near and dear to my heart now because this is like really what I'm working on the personal growth side and the business side, which is building financial acumen or building financial talent and skill as opposed to just building business talent and skill. So like, let me start this off by saying like, I'm not perfect, you're probably not perfect, even though to some of you guys it might seem that way. So what I've been doing with the accounting side of my business generally is keeping everything in one account, looking at a giant chunk of money, or at least what's a giant chunk of money to me, and saying like, okay, I can make these decisions based upon there being this amount of money there, not really knowing exactly like how much is going to end up going to this, how much is going to end up going to that, how much is going to this. So like I hire people, I sign up for seminars, I sign up for masterminds, I do all this stuff. And then when we have a bad month, which happened, right? It's just December. Sometimes Decembers are slow. Like all of a sudden it feels like the house of cards is crumbling as a result of only paying attention to money in this one spot. And then like I'm looking at a balance sheet from my accountant who speaks a different language than I do. He's like, oh, you made 150 grand this month. And I'm like, okay, where the fuck is the money, right? Well, where is it, right? Or some variety of that, right? So what it seems like, and I'm reading a book right now called Profit First, which I'll get into in a second. You might have read it, or
I have not. But yeah.
You seem to apply a lot of the lessons I'm learning from it. So what you do, Ian, especially being a lender, being in the financial world, you seem to not only separate the logical and emotional side, because I think what most entrepreneurs do, from talking to some people recently, is really kind of what I do, right? Like, oh, there's all this money there, let's grow for the sake of growth, and I'm actually pretty good at growing, I'm pretty good at hiring people, I'm pretty good at building systems, but then the back end, like financial accounting, like what's the real money temperature of my business, like isn't as good as the temperature of my business, right? And that, like, I hit a realization for this at the beginning of the week. I'm like, holy fucking shit, like what if we have 2 bad months? Like if we have 2 bad months and don't do any business, like I'm fired, like I have to fire everybody, right? Like, and I don't want to do that, right? And it's like embarrassing and humiliating to even think of that as a possibility. And it like all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, if my 2 sales guys don't close anything for a few weeks, like that would be really, really, really bad, right? Like, especially with the investment in marketing, with the investment in this, and we're dialing in like where our deals are coming from, where our better deals are coming. Like we're dialing in that stuff better. But you seem like you seem to have always been practicing that. And for if you don't know Ian, like Ian right now is wearing all-star like Chuck Taylors. They were probably like $25 at Marshall's. Knowing Ian, he's wearing his company
3 pairs.
Yeah, he's wearing his company hoodie, right? So like me, like I own articles of like single articles of clothing that were well over $1,000.
More than 3. Everything I wear in the entire week is worth.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like if I actually look at the numbers and like where like my money goes, like a very small percentage of it actually goes to like my car and the clothes. It's like a couple thousand or a few $1,000s a month.